and welcome to another edition of OnSide SA. Budge and I are going to run you through the football. We've had the international breaks. We go back to the Premier League. Of course, the first thing we always talk about is last one standing. It's down to 11, Budge.
Yeah, 11 from 18, Paul.
11 from 18, and those that went were on Brighton, Palace, and Notts Forest. Yeah. Ladies, we have a winner, Cindy Riddell.
Cindy, second husband and wife victors, Paul.
That's right, Tubbs has won it, eh?
Yeah.
That's very good.
The first one was the postman,
yes,
and his wife Julie. Yeah.
So. Second, has the postman won it?
Can you believe it? The greatest mystery of all time.
That'll be that's an Agatha Christie at its best. Yeah. Second, Pauline Young, and third, Blair Miller. Well done to them. International still in. Neil Horsman from the UK. Mark Rogers, the UK, Ashley Rushton, Florida, America. Fantastic. That's excellent, Budge. Romanian entrants, Sean Matthews, Brett Galley, Bruce Armstrong, Kenan Rice, Mark Viljoen, Sky Shabalala, and Lawrence Werners.
Yeah, hanging in tough, Paul.
Former champions, Sean Matthew and Brett Galley.
Yeah.
Sure, that is very, very good.
A lot of pressure on this week, Paul. A couple have come through, but you've gone 12 rounds.
Yeah.
So the remaining 8, and you've got the guards there that what they can use.
Yeah, one can use Arsenal. Who they're playing?
Arsenal away at Brentford.
One can use Aston Villa. They're away at Spurs. Chelsea away at Newcastle. Liverpool away at
Man City.
Two can use West Ham.
Yeah, West Ham at Burnley.
Interesting game.
Yeah.
And then 4 can use Brentford, who I have Arsenal visiting.
Yeah. Well, your other guys can still use your Luton, Sheffield United.
You can put your last rand on that. There won't be 11 left.
Well, pressure for the guys,
Yeah, but while I'm on it, Budge,
we've
had a lot of pressure. Talk about pressure on the guys to start the new one.
Yeah, it starts this weekend.
Starts this week again. Yeah. The second one starts, even though we've got 11 going through.
Yeah.
So make sure you get hold of Budge, get your numbers, take as many as you want, get in there and see if you can get that trip overseas. Colin had a great time coming with us last time.
Unbelievable time.
Colin came over. Colin McCabe won it. He came out. Never met him before. Wonderful lad. And he came over, had a lot of fun. He went to Spurs. He sung and danced off.
Also went to Chelsea Fulham on the Monday with his 2 sons.
Yeah, so a wonderful trip for him. Wonderful. Right, Budge. Show topics. Tell me myself. Well, firstly, is Stevie B in town?
Yeah, I'm sure he is. Paulie slept in a little bit longer with a 2-hour stint. Good morning, Steve.
Yeah, morning. Yep, that extra 30 minutes.
Yeah. Steve, we have an early question. First question.
Yes.
I wouldn't have got it. I'll be surprised if you get it. Paul, what is it?
Now, here's the question that was put to me, Steve, and I immediately phoned Budge. He was vague. I phoned my son-in-law, who's an Englishman. I phoned Charlie Pegram, a Spurs man. I'm coming to, I think, the most erudite and brainy of the lot without blowing smoke up you. The question put to me was, why do the English rugby team have 3 lions on their shirt?
No, rows on their shirt.
English rugby team, the rows, and the footballers have 3 lions. Many times they've been called the 3 lions, but the rugby team have a rose. What is the difference and why are they there?
That's a very good question. I'm not sure. Without guessing, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, you've got the Rose of England, which is sort of quite well known, and you had the Battle of the Roses going back hundreds of years. Yes. But I'm not sure why. It's like the English netball team are the Roses as well. So I'm not sure why the differential between the rugby team and the football team.
Yeah.
So the female soccer team in England are lionesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on their shirt, the footballers would have 3 lions, and people seem to think, I've got answers vague and nondescript and a lot of guesswork, is that maybe the 3 lions went back to a badge that they had 200 years ago. They had 3 lions on the badge, and that might be it. So if you do find any more info, we've got a few shows to do. You can always let us know, Steve.
Always give us a shout. Anyway, talking about Lions, I'm sure there'll be a few Lions drunk in Liverpool. The 10-point deduction, Steve, for the Everton club. A bit harsh, or is it fair?
I think that that a lot of people were surprised that it happened, came out quite quickly. I mean, it's the biggest penalty in points that has been given to a Premier League club. Even Portsmouth, when they went into administration, got 9. Middlesbrough had 3 once. Look, it's quite penal, and I think that I was reading the other day. If you may have heard that the government was sort of bringing in an FA regulator to regulate football in the UK, and there's a talk that they think the Premier League have done this to sort of say, look, we don't necessarily need a regulator, we can keep our own house in order. I think a lot of people are thinking, look, Man City have, they're being charged with something like 115 breaches. Chelsea seem to have been flouting FFP in some way. Yet sort of Everton, all of a sudden, they had, not a huge breach, but I mean, it is a breach of the 3-year loss rule, cumulative loss rule, and it seems quite penal. They have the right to appeal, but the way that the committee spoke, it was almost like, we're going to make an example of you. There is something else that's come out from that as well, is that the 3 teams who went down last year have sort of almost been given permission to take action against Everton, because what they're saying is that if this would have been applied last year, then at least one of those teams, would have been Leicester presumably, would not have been relegated. So, this, I think if I was an Everton fan, I think you need to look and think, this is where we are. But they're only a few points adrift. It's not like they're 10 points adrift. And the way they played recently, they can make it up. But it does, it's going to be a trying season, I should think, for them.
It actually stinks, Stephen. You think the clubs with all the big-time money, they can do what they want, and a smaller, lesser club, especially financially wise, in Everton, get punished 10 points. Criminal. Steve, there was another thing. The Premier League clubs voted, was it 12-8, or was it about not allowing allowing players to go on loan in January from sister clubs? Now, Newcastle, obviously with all the Saudi players, they own 4 clubs. So they can take, is that right, 4 players from those teams, they can come on loan to Newcastle?
Well, you are only allowed a certain number of players on loan anyway in the Premier League, but it's interesting that the spokesman has come out very quickly to say that Ruben Neves probably won't be going to Newcastle in January, because that was the one that they were concerned about. But, in the future, there is nothing to stop. And it's not just Newcastle. When you think Man City have got associated clubs around the world, even Nottingham Forest, I mean, the owner owns Olympiacos. So I think the issue with Newcastle particularly is that because obviously they're now a Champions League club, and whether they will be this season coming, we don't know. But another club might think, no, I'm not going to sell to Newcastle because they're now our Champions League rivals, and they sell to, let's say, a player that goes to one of the PIF teams in Saudi, who then almost instantly loan them back to Newcastle. So, there's something that's not quite right about it. And I think just because they can do it doesn't mean they should be allowed to do it. So.
I wondered, strange how Man United and all the clubs, United are linked with 1 or 2, but anyway, I don't think many players will come through anyway. Steve, as far as the injury crisis, I know you said earlier there were plenty of them. We'll go through them when we discuss the fixture, Steve. I think that's easier that way, as opposed to just talking about it and then going through the fixture. So we'll get the odds up for Saturday, and biggest game of the season, in my opinion, the best 2 teams in England. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's Saturday lunchtime, and obviously they've got players who have come in. The majority of their squads have been away all over the world playing. Now, for City, Haaland didn't play, missed out on the injuries, missed out through injury. Obviously they're going to be hoping that he is fit to play again until Pep and Jurgen Klopp do their press conferences today or tomorrow. We're not going to know the extent of it, but I think it would be a shame. Obviously, we've got some of the key players out, but hopeful majority are back. And as you say, the 2 best teams in the land just at the moment. And I think there's going to be a good game. Certainly big goals in it. And City are going to want to keep their record of this home record going of wins in a row at home. So I think there's going to be a close game, but I fancy City just to come out on top.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think Liverpool will give them headache. I think Salah, he's 22-10 to score any time. As much as I'm obviously anti-Liverpool being a United man, I just think this Man City back four is there for the taking.
So you predicted a draw?
I think there's going to be goals. You know, I just think, but this has got 2-2, 3-all written all over it, Steve. That's
4-4.
how I see it. 4-3. There's definitely
Chelsea.
goals in this game. You know, Liverpool. My only concern is the right back, because I think Doku will be out there against Trent Alexander, and that's where they are going to attack. But saying that, you know, their left back,
Yeah,
I don't know who's
game.
going to play left back for. There could be a Kanji for Man City. I think this is going to be a great game. Let's hope the referee and VAR don't rule it, but I think this has got, as you say, agree,
good
Steve,
game.
goals
Good
written
game.
all over it. 5-10, both teams to score. 5-10, over 2.5 goals. I just got a funny feeling Liverpool will score at least 2, 16-10.
5-10, both teams to score. Good
Yeah,
bet.
but it should be a cracker. Let's hope the early kickoff doesn't
Okay.
ruin it. But I think this will be a humdinger. Steve, Burnley, West Ham. How do you see it?
Well, the battle of the Clarets, Burnley have lost every home game.
Yeah.
But West Ham have got a couple of key injuries. Jared Bowen pulled out the England squad. Michael Antonio was injured, playing for Jamaica, could be out for a while. So not quite sure who'd start up front. Obviously, they'll miss Jared Bowen. Burnley have got to get something at home at some point. I mean, here we are, almost into December, and they haven't got a home point yet. I think this will be a close game. I think that...
Draw.
I think West Ham will be favourites, but Burnley could hold them.
Yeah. You know, I agree. I can't believe Vincent Kompany hasn't come under pressure as far as losing his job. I know it's American owners, but
just
yeah,
brought
they've
them
lost
up.
6 at home, sure, but the way they're going, they don't look like winning a game, and this is make or break. I think he's got till Christmas. You know, West Ham have lost their last 3 away from home. They've had several players challenging. I know the centre forward, Antonio, is definitely out. If Bowen's missing, there is a chance for an upset. To me, 27-10 is the right play, and what could go either way. I think that's the way I would be going, Steve.
Battle of the Clarets.
And talk about the Battle of London, Luton Town, I think of the small grounds against Crystal Palace, Steve. This should be a good game.
Yeah, I mean, Luton have showed a little bit of fight recently.
Yeah.
Obviously, they held Liverpool in their last home game. Palace, you're not quite sure what you're going to get from Palace. They do make themselves hard to beat. I've got a feeling, again, this could be one of those games that's going to be, I think it could be quite low scoring. You know, I think Luton could certainly hold Palace. You know, Eze is back from injury. I think Michael Elise might be as well. So, you know, if they didn't pick up any injuries with any of their players that went overseas, I think Palace could hold them.
Yeah, I fancy Palace a
I
bit too,
fancy
Steve.
Palace too.
You know, I think, I went onto their website yesterday and there was no mention of, is it Özgebej, those 2 guys you've mentioned.
Eze is going to play.
He's going to play, and I think the other guy's going to play as well, and they're very tight at the back and give them half a chance. You know, Crystal Palace, I think, are a major shout. But, you know, in fairness to Luton, yeah, they gutsed it out against Liverpool for a fortunate draw, and they fought hard against Man United, losing 1-0. So they're slowly getting the grips.
Yeah,
but
they're getting the grips.
Crystal Palace and Roy Hodgson, I just think maybe a little bit shrewd for them. Steve, the team that has most of the injuries, from what I'm led to believe, are written is Newcastle. But at home against the Chelsea team, I've taken 15-10. I'm going to chance them for the simple reason I'm taking Newcastle. Is that Chelsea's 2 midfield players, Enzo Fernandez and Cacheda, were both involved in South American games. They're going to be back late. And if this was a Sunday game, I'd maybe think Chelsea have more of a chance. But on Saturday, I'm siding with Newcastle.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Well, that's an interesting point. I mean, as you say, Newcastle potentially have got anything up to 14 players could be out, and they look very jaded and in their last league game at Bournemouth, and they were well beaten. And you know, that was when Kieran Trippier was having a discussion with some of the fans after the game, as if to say, "What do you expect us to do with all the injuries we've got?" You know, I think playing in the Champions League as well, I think hasn't helped their situation in as much as I think, you know, the squad with injuries has sort of been decimated. You know, in normal circumstances, I think I would have definitely gone for a home win here. But I think this is going to be a hard game for them. You know, especially as you say, you know, I think Newcastle themselves have got players like Joe Linton as you know, was playing for Brazil. I've got a feeling that this could be Chelsea might just do something, you know, we're not expecting here. You know, so
Chelsea,
for me,
haven't
I think
Chelsea
can at least get a point.
Steve, haven't Chelsea scored 4 goals in each of their last 2 games?
Chelsea.
Yes, they put 4 past Man City.
Man City and
4
Chelsea.
past Spurs.
Yeah, okay,
4 past Spurs.
9 men Spurs.
9 men Spurs. But listen, they're scoring goals now.
But,
Yeah.
you know, I think that against a strong Newcastle team, but Newcastle could be without, you know, majority of their forward line. You've got Callum Wilson out injured.
Yeah.
Isak could still be out. Harvey Barnes, we know, is out.
Yeah.
You know, they've got, you know, probably really just
And
got Anthony
Almiron's
Gordon
the other
up front,
one, yeah.
really.
Jeez, they've got a lot of players out, huh?
Steve, I just think it's at the
think it's gonna be a
price.
close game.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and the other thing is, you know, the Champions League definitely affected their performance against Bournemouth. They were running tired.
Yeah,
Bournemouth,
running tired. Changes.
they were gone. So that's why I'm just saying a bit of a break. They'll be fired up. St James's Park will be rocking. I'm taking a chance. Steve, the team that's cost several of my mates their last one standing positions is Brighton. They haven't won in 6. Going to a Notts Forest stadium that they haven't lost in home at 7. This could have upset written all over it. How do you see it, though?
Well, it did last season. You know, when
Last
Brighton won a
run,
good
yeah.
run and Forest were struggling and Forest beat them. I think Forest can at least hold them. As you say, Brighton just sort of gone off the rails a little bit. But again, the same issue for Brighton. Without a big squad playing in Europe, obviously had a couple of decent results in Europe. But, you know, I think it has been affected, and with injuries as well, and they don't have a deep squad. So I think Forest at home are making themselves hard to beat, and I think they're going to look at this and think they could get something.
Yeah, I agree. Just hard to trust Brighton. You know, that slick passing style has disappeared.
They
and,
find these strikers or wingers out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know.
Jeez, they found them,
But
eh?
a lot of those players are now playing for their countries now. So they've got a genuine tough...
Be a good game.
Yeah, it should be. And on to our second page, and a crucial game at the bottom. Sheffield United against Bournemouth. Steve, how do you see it?
Well, you know, Bournemouth, as I say, picked up a little bit. I think I can see Bournemouth getting something at Sheffield United. You know, I think it was a good result. I know Newcastle were tired, but I thought Bournemouth played very well. Sheffield United maybe a little bit fortunate to win their previous home game. They were fortunate to get a point at Brighton. To be fair, Brighton had a player sent off when they were completely on top, and they pinched a goal. Sheffield United with pretty much their only attack. So, but I think, you know, buoyed by that, you know, I think it's going to be one of those games they could cancel each other out.
Yeah.
You know, neither can afford to lose. Sheffield United certainly can't afford to lose with the position they're in.
Yeah, I just think Sheffield United have got to go for it. These are the games they've got to bank on to get points. Yeah, they have shown a lot of fight, Steve. You know, they haven't even at Arsenal when they got well beat. You know, they have shown a bit of fight, but so have Bournemouth. And I think if you are having a bet,
Real scrap.
5-2 looks the right way to go in a game I won't be watching, but obviously following. Now, the evening game on Saturday, Steve, a lot of people will be on Arsenal to win at Brentford. Do you agree?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, Brentford have sort of turned the corner a little bit after a sort of a poor start. You know, Arsenal, I think I understand that Martin Odegaard, they're not sure if he's fit yet. Obviously, we'll know that the next day or so.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think Arsenal would start as favourites, but Brentford at home are hard to beat.
Yeah.
I still fancy Arsenal to go there and get a result. You know, they slipped a little bit. I think they're going to want to get back on track. Otherwise, you know, they start to fall behind City and Liverpool. Yeah. So, you know, I think this will be a good game. You know, Brentford, you know, when they were first back in the Premier League, beat them on that opening game. Right. Arsenal 2-0, got some revenge last year. But I fancy Arsenal in a relatively low-scoring game.
Yeah, Brentford only lost one of the last 6 at home, and that was when they got totally outplayed by Everton. But they raised a game against the top teams, and I expect them to do their share. But I agree, of the two sides, you've got to go for Arsenal. Steve, Tottenham, Aston Villa. Give Paul hope.
Joanna.
Well, look, I mean, listen, I think the way Tottenham fell apart at Wolves, you know, it's hard to believe. I mean, they just seem to lack, you know, they scored an early goal, but they just seem to lack idea. And, you know, the way they started the season compared to the team that played Chelsea and then that Wolves performance, you just don't know what's happening there. I think Paul will know better than me, but, you know, Villa are on fire. Not so much away from home, but you know, Ollie Watkins, you know, can't stop scoring. I think it's going to be a tough game for Tottenham.
I went to this fixture last year. We lost 2-0 to Aston Villa. We played well, but they played very well.
Yeah.
They were very good. The striker, the English striker, was very good. They've got 1 or 2 injuries, but we've got the likes of Romero, Basuma, Richarlison, Solomon, Perisic, Van der Bent, Doubtful, Johnson, Udogi. But we have still got some very good players. We can have a good starting front three. We'll still have a good midfield because Bentancur's got through games for Uruguay.
He played,
so he'll go on alongside Saar. You've got the two defensive boys, Skip and we've got a good side.
Yeah.
We've only lost one at home. That's when we had 9 men. People are quick to say, hey, you guys got beat. But we lost with 9 men, and we should never have lost the other day 2-1.
Yeah.
So we've had time off. The players ready to go. I think it's a tough challenge because I enjoy watching Aston Villa. I think they pass the ball quickly. They're good players. But we're strong in the middle. They're not going to have room in the middle. So I think it's a good game. I think we can shade it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they shade it.
Do you actually fancy Spurs, Stephen? I'll tell you why. Every time I've watched Villa, they play a high line. Against Fulham, there were 3 or 4 chances where you should have got behind them, and the ball never got played early. One thing, if they're going to play that high line, Son is tailor-made to get in behind them. So I don't know what price he is to score, but I'll be having a few rand on him. Away from home, Steve, this high line with Villa, there's something about them. I know at home it's free for all and they have a full go at Villa Park and they're hard to beat. But away from home, I've just got my doubts. There'll be definitely goals.
Yeah.
You know, both teams to score over 2.5 goals. I'm on Son to score any time. I don't know what price he is. But of the two teams, I think Spurs can nab them. Yeah, that's my opinion.
We've asked the other two sons.
I think the one miss for Tottenham is going to be Maddison. You know, because he started off, you know, he's looked really comfortable in a Tottenham shirt, and I think obviously him sort of being out for a little while, I think obviously he has a little bit of an effect because you know, he's looked like he's one of the players that would be first on the team sheet.
Yeah.
So.
Well, him and Basuma would be, but they're not going to be there. But we've got replacements.
I've got no problem with that.
Bentancur's a skilled player.
If that ginger ninja on the wing eventually goes on down the line and gets the ball
I hope
in.
Johnson's ready.
Yeah, well, he played for Wales.
We got a new guy. I can't think of his name now. We've got a 19-year-old kid, or 18 and 19-year-old kid, who has been playing for the junior sides and everything. Outstanding. They said he's the new Harry Kane. They said this guy's brilliant. He sat on the bench twice.
Okay, well,
let's... He sat on the bench twice. So we might get a look at a new face, but I think we will go with probably the guys that we normally play with.
Okay, the main game on Sunday, Steve, is Everton at Man United. I can imagine United fans being right behind Everton as far as the points deduction goes, especially the way Man City seemed to get away with murder. If it hadn't been for the points deduction, Steve, I'd have been all over Everton, even though their home form is woeful. But I don't know, another game, I think the draw written all over it. Draw. What do you think, Steve?
Well, I think the Everton fans are going to get right behind their team.
Yeah.
There's also and with Sean Dyche, I think there's going to be a bit of a sort of siege mentality. It's like the whole world's against us. Let's show them. And I think United they've had a couple of wins recently, but they've not been convincing in the league. Fortunate to win at Fulham, struggled against Luton. They were poor really in that. The way they threw away that game in Copenhagen. Again, they've got 1 or 2 players coming back from injury, which they desperately need. I think it's the sort of game that normally I would have said United would be favourites or certainly a point, but I think Everton are going to throw everything at them, as if to say, this is what you've done to us, but we're not going to take it lying down. So I think it'll be quite a fiery game.
Yeah, me too.
No doubt about
Get those cards out, bud.
And we're talking a fiery game, Steve. Monday night, Fulham Wolves. Portuguese contingent.
I'm not sure about fiery, but look, I mean, we've got 1 or 2 players out, but 1 or 2 players coming back from injury. It's the sort of game that we can't afford to lose.
Yeah.
Wolves, I've been, after a poor start, I've been sort of impressed with. I mean, they didn't give the fact they beat
Man City and Spurs.
Beat Man City and beat Spurs. It's pretty impressive, and they've sort of hauled their way out the bottom. And Gary O'Neill, I think, has shown that he is a Premiership manager after having been sort of given the boot by Bournemouth. So I think it'll be a tough game. It's the sort of game we can't afford to lose. We've really had a poor season. We lost 3 of our last 4. We need and drawn the other one. So we need to get some points on the board. I think it would be thankfully for us, Monday gives, same as Wolves, it gives us another extra day or so to get players back who have been playing abroad. We had 14 players evidently away, so it'd be good to get them back, hopefully all fit.
Yeah, I think there's going to be goals.
I think this will be a tight game.
Do you? I think there's going to be goals, Steve. Just the way Wolves play, and they leave themselves open at the back. If you get your chances, you've got to take them, because I think they're going to score a couple. I think it should be a good game. I really like, Fulham at home are always value for money, and Wolves, they're on a roll. Beat Man City, they beat Spurs, so I think it's a big game for you. Anyway, Steve, on to the championship. Kicks off the English season on Friday night. Yorkshire Derby, Rotherham Leeds. Surely Leeds have got to get a result.
Rotherham at home, give people a good game, but I think Leeds should be too strong, and I think that they're starting to have a bit of a run now, and I fancy Leeds to win that. They'll have huge support there, and I think it should be a good game. It's on TV, and I think Leeds should win it. Yeah,
I totally agree. I was going to back Leeds to win the league. They were 5-1 until I had another good look. The difference between them and Leicester is quite a bit. But big, but Leeds, I was really impressed when they outplayed Leicester. I think they're the best team in the league at present anyway. Birmingham City, Sheffield Wednesday. Can Wayne Rooney finally win a game?
I think so, yeah. I think they will. I think that they've showed a bit of fight. A little bit more fight, and I think that Sheffield Wednesday, we know, don't travel very well. I think that's an opportunity for them to win.
Yeah,
they lost all 5 the away games.
Drew, who's that? Sheffield Wednesday are rubbish. They've only won one game. They beat Rotherham on a Sunday, who are shocking away from home. Steve, Birmingham City all day long.
Okay.
Even the handicap 3-1 to win by more than one. I think they're good things this weekend.
Okay.
Anyway, the next game we got Bristol City against Middlesbrough, who are on a great run. Steve, can they continue it?
They're 10th.
Yeah, I think they can. I think that a little bit of a wobble, but I think they should be too strong. Bristol City at home are not a bad side, but I think of the two, I fancy Borough.
Yeah, 7 wins out of their last 9, Borough. Michael Carrick's got his squad going
Take the double, 33-10, Birmingham City and
Even
Middlesbrough.
money, just away from home, that's my only concern. They did concede 3 again at Plymouth, 3-all draw, but they're in fine form. Bristol City, since they fired the manager, a bit wobbly, so even money, a bit short, but you've got to fancy them. Steve, another team that are scoring the last minute every game is Southampton. Can they beat Huddersfield Town?
I think so. I think they'll be too strong. Huddersfield, obviously with a new manager, they haven't quite sort of hit their straps really as they did at the end of last season. I think Southampton could go there and get a result.
Yeah, 7-10, both teams to score. One thing about Southampton, they open gates at the back trying to play out, but they definitely do score goals. 6 wins and 2 draws in the last 8. So our man Decoy got dug. Gary Green's in confident mood of another 3 points. On to our second page, and the team who have cost me in their last 2 games, Leicester City. They were woeful against Leeds United, and I couldn't believe they got beat at Middlesbrough. Can they rebound against Watford?
I think so. I mean, obviously Watford had a good result last time at home, but I think Leicester should be too strong for them. I think that they were walking away with it. Leicester all of a sudden, had a couple of blips, but I think that they should just about edge that.
Yeah, is your brother happy with the way Watford are playing? Unbeaten in 6?
No, not really, because obviously they had that bad run early on, and I think that expectations there are that they're going to be challenging for playoffs, which they're not quite at the moment.
Yeah, big game for them on the weekend. 2 teams that should be challenging for playoff places but are struggling. Millwall, Coventry. See, how do you see it going?
Yeah, I fancy Coventry. I thought would have a much stronger season after sort of getting to the final last year. It just seems something not quite right. Millwall a bit up and down, obviously having sort of sacked their manager, but I think Millwall, for me, should be too strong at home.
Yeah, I looked at that price, 17-10, but they've cost me at home in recent times, so I've braced them. Another team who caught us last week, Steve. I thought they were going to fire the manager when they went to Swansea and won 3-2 at home against the struggling QPR side. Surely really Norwich City have got to get a result.
I think so, although QPR sort of picked up a point away. It's at home where they seem to be struggling, but I think Norwich should be too strong. They've had overall for them a disappointing season, but I think that they should be too strong this weekend. Yeah,
I agree with that. And last on our page is Plymouth Argyle, who score goals for fun, hosting a Sunderland team who seem to be up and down. Steve, is 11-10 a fair price?
Yeah, although Plymouth score goals at home, they're a hard team to beat. Obviously they got as we know, they got a huge number against Southampton. They got 3 against Borough. I think this could be another sort of high scoring game, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if Plymouth hold them.
Yeah, it's under 5-10 both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. So that shows how good Plymouth are going forward, but woeful in defence. On to our final page, Steve. And we got Preston at home to Cardiff City. Can my boys win 3 in a row?
They're 5th.
I think so. There's absolutely no reason why not. I mean, Cardiff having a decent season, but Preston at home, as you know, are very hard to beat, and don't give away many goals. I think Preston could win this.
Very fortunate to beat Blackburn, Steve. It was a really good game. Late Friday night, I thought, here we go, it'll be an early sleep for me, but it was superb. Very fortunate to get a late winner. Cardiff City scored goals, though. It was just over even money, both teams to score, but let's hope Preston at 14-10 can continue our run. Stoke City, Blackburn, Steve, how do you see it going?
Yeah, it should be a good game. I mean, Blackburn, again, with Blackburn, you don't know what they win one week, lose the next. And Stoke, again, up and down. But I think again, there should be goals here. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if the home side just edge it.
Yeah, I just think there's goals in this, Steve. I was really impressed with what I saw for Blackburn. I've watched Stoke a couple of times, and I fancy Blackburn of the two teams. Obviously, the draw looks the right way to go at 5-2, and both teams to score in that look a certainty. But for me, if this is to be a winner, I fancy Blackburn. Swansea City, Hull City, Steve. They've cost us a few rand lately, Swansea City. Hull City are going well. This should be a good game.
Yeah, although it's more at home. They're hard to beat at home, Hull. I still think, Swansea, I can't quite sort of catch them, I think, just when you think they're having a bit of a run, they let you down. But I just think they could be a little bit too strong at home for Hull this week.
Yeah, it cost me last time, hard to trust. And last but not least, West Brom against Ipswich.
7:30 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, this should be a really good game. I mean, that both teams do. I mean, Ipswich having a fantastic run, but West Brom at home, and they've been sort of scoring goals and winning recently. Yeah. I think this. I think if there was to be a winner, I fancy the home side, but I think it's going to be. I think there'll be goals, and I think it'll be close. Yeah,
it's 1, 2, 3, and all your exotics, but another game where I think the draw is a lovely contender. Steve, pressure time again. I need your best bet and value bet, please.
For my best bet, I'm going to go for a Wayne Rooney home win.
You got it.
This is an opportunity. If they can't win this one, then it makes you wonder who they're going to beat at home. My value, I really can't tell, but I just got this sneaking feeling that Millwall are going to snatch something this week. So I'm going to go for Millwall at home.
Lovely.
Steve, my best bet, Birmingham City as well, 11-10. They were 12-10. And I'm chancing Blackburn. There's a couple of teams in Spain I like, but, I can't suggest those here. Most of the guys follow the English, but 22-10 Blackburn. I think yours was 17-10. So, Steve, good value in them both. Yeah. Steve, thanks as always. And remember, last one standing, Saturday kickoff. Get studying.
Make or break for me after my record round 10 last time.
Yeah.
So.
All the best, Steve.
Steve, thanks for your help.
Cheers. Have a good week.
Yeah, bye. You too. But let's go quickly on to South Africa. Let's talk about them.
World Cup,
Bafana. They beat Benin 2-1. Yeah. Then they go to a ground that is flooded, or so reportedly. But they're there for 3 days. They complain after they get beat. Why didn't they complain before?
Paul, we played in some howling grounds in winter. So, you just got to guts it up. And with Nigeria drawing their first 2 group games, you get a result, even a point. We're ahead of them. Well, we're ahead of them anyway. But I just didn't like what I saw. Just no guts. They won every 50-50. The pitch was woeful. But, you're away from home. What do you expect?
They're not good enough, Bafana, Budge. That's the bottom line. Let's see if we can find some good players in the ranks here, Budge. Let's have a look at the fixtures this week, starting on Saturday at 3:30.
Amazulu. I like Amazulu. Paul, they beat Golden Arrows, who are in great form. They beat them twice, 3-0 in the Cup and 3-1 away. I watched a bit of it. They're scoring goals finally. But Steve Barker obviously make his team hard to beat.
So you Amazulu.
It was sort of for me, Paul. And Orlando Pirates, good things. I was going to make them my best bet, but 7-10 is a bit short. Richards Bay knocked them out in the Cup on penalties. So this is payback. 7-10 Orlando Pirates all day, Paul. And
Cape Town
Spurs
Spurs.
at Ernst Middendorf is, I think it's his 9th or 10th South African club he's coaching. He's taken over there. They've only won one game. They beat Pirates, and how they won it, I don't know. But Royal AM are in and out, Paul, so the draw would be my suggestion in
anything
that
could happen
particular
there.
game.
I agree with you, Budge. Let's have a look at Swallows and Chiefs.
Paul, this is hard to catch Chiefs. They can't win an argument at the moment. You know, Steve Compella at Swallows done a good job. Another game where it wouldn't surprise me if it was 0-0.
Okay.
But Swallows of the two teams. And I like Polokwane City, Paul. I've watched them play a few times. They have a go. They play like the old Morocco Swallows. Remember Ace Menini and those guys?
Yes.
But TS Galaxy, not easy to beat at home. But of the two sides, I like Polokwane. And Golden Arrows, they slipped up a bit in Hammersdale. Yeah, but they did beat Cape Town City in the Cup. But Cape Town City on a great roll. Paul, 12-10, both teams to score. That's my suggestion in that particular clash. Yeah.
Okay, Budge. Let's talk about your selections.
Yeah, Paul, we go on to our GC pools all on Saturday. I've got Man City win and draw at home against Liverpool. I've thrown the draw in with West Ham United at Burnley. I'm chancing Crystal Palace to win at Luton Town. I've got Newcastle United win and draw at Chelsea. Brighton win and draw at Nottingham Forest, and thrown the draw in at Arsenal. Win and draw at Brentford, 2-1-6. On to our second Soccer 6, I'm going Man City win and draw against Liverpool. Amazulu win and draw against Stellenbosch. Banking Pirates to beat Richards Bay. West Ham win and draw against Burnley. Crystal Palace win and draw at Luton Town. And I'm chancing Cape Town Spurs to avoid defeat at Royal AM, 2-1-6. On to our Soccer 10, I'm going Man City win and draw against Liverpool. West Ham to avoid defeat at Burnley. Going for Crystal Palace to beat Luton. Newcastle win and draw at home against Chelsea. Brighton to avoid defeat at Nottingham Forest. Onto the second page, Bournemouth to avoid defeat at Sheffield United. Birmingham City to beat Sheffield Wednesday. Leicester City to beat Watford. And Ipswich Town to avoid defeat in a tricky game at West Brom, as long as Arsenal win and draw at Brentford, 288. Onto our Soccer 13 for the weekend, and plenty of chances I'm taking here. I'm banking Arsenal to win at Brentford. Newcastle to beat Chelsea. Brighton to avoid defeat at Notts Forest. Bankering West Ham to win at Burnley. Crystal Palace to win at Luton Town. Bournemouth win and draw at Sheffield United. Going for Middlesbrough to beat Bristol City away from home. Second page, I'm going for Southampton to beat Huddersfield Town. Millwall win and draw against Coventry. Sunderland to avoid defeat at Plymouth Argyle. I've thrown the draw in with Preston North End at home against Cardiff City. Blackburn Rovers to avoid defeat at Stoke City. And Swansea City win and draw at Hull City, 256.
My favourite page?
On to Budgie's bets, Paul. The Premiership's the first time I've been stumped. Really, really tough. So I'm chancing Newcastle United to beat Chelsea at home. And going over 2.5 goals, both teams to score, yes, in the Man City Liverpool, Nottingham Forest Brighton, and Tottenham Aston Villa games, 2,700 to 200.
Newcastle have to beat Chelsea.
They've got to win, yeah.
Okay.
The team goals only, I'm going Liverpool, Newcastle, Tottenham and Wolves, all to score over 1.5 goals or a minimum of 2. 5,400 to 200. I couldn't believe the odds, so the bet's already on. On to the Championship. I'm going Birmingham City to beat Sheffield Wednesday. I'm going Norwich City to beat QPR, and both teams to score, yes. And then over 2.5 goals in the Stoke City Blackburn Rovers game, 2,400 to 200. Both teams to score sides are Huddersfield Southampton, Leicester City Watford, Plymouth Sunderland, Preston Cardiff City, Swansea City Hull City, 3,700 to 200.
Okay.
On to Spain. I'm going Getafe to beat bottom of the league Almeria, Atletico Madrid to beat Mallorca, and both teams to score, yes. And both teams to score in the Real Betis Las Palmas and Villarreal Osasuna fixture, 4,000 to 200. And our Collis King 6 or Nixa, I'm going Leeds to beat Rotherham, Birmingham to beat Sheffield Wednesday, Orlando Pirates to beat Richards Bay, Bayern Munich to beat FC Cologne on Friday, Getafe to beat Almeria, and Atletico Madrid to beat Mallorca, 3,000 to 200.
Excellent, Budge. That's my favourite page. Good to see that. Well, there we go. Do not forget that the new last one standing starts this week. and get going. The one that's still going is the first one. There's 11 still in. It's gone into its 12th week.
13th week.
13th week. Amazing. So I think there's going to be...
That's carnage. This is the hardest week.
Yeah, this is carnage for all of us. But get in there, win yourself a ticket to go watch yourself a team and all the fun that goes with it. Until next time, stay on side.